And Offsiders, welcome back to yet another episode of Offside Talk. I am your co-host, Emin. I'm here with my co-host, Fatia,
What up?
and our other host, Omar.
How are we, gents?
Yeah, it's been fun.
No,
Good.
it hasn't been fun. It's been horrible. I mean, we've had a week of no football. I've been lucky enough to watch a derby in the Turkish Super League, but not much football this week, and even less than last week. Fats, do you want to give us an update on what's going on?
All right, it's been a fun couple of weeks, I should say. Even though from our last podcast last week, but there's just been a few developments in the European football aspect, especially Barclays Premier, or not Barclays anymore, especially Premier League. So the Premier League's now been pushed back till the end of April. All right, until they start figuring out this whole congestion. But the Premier League has reassured us that the season will be finished, regardless of what happens. It will somehow be finished. That's their expectation at the moment. I think the pushing back of Euros has definitely helped. So Euro 2020 will now be aimed for 2021. I think that's the best choice that they've done, considering it gives all the domestic leagues across Europe or even across the world to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being pushed back, you have June and July available to you at whatever means necessary. I think it was May to June. Sorry. I think what will also help football in general would be the pushing back of the Olympics, but at the moment, the Olympics have stated that they're still going ahead. I don't think that they will. I think that's just more of they're going to make a decision closer to the date. But if they get rid of the Olympics as well, that saves a lot of players from actually going or even just participating. From a viewership point of view, it's good for football. So if that gets pushed back as well, it opens up another window for pretty much the entire football campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the FA has stated that they will finish. They will finish it.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest worry is this is a temporary solution. So at the moment, they're judging things based on what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a change, or if there is, say, another 5,000 cases come up in England, for example, then what? Do you push it back again and again and again? And like, how far can you actually push it and go, okay, season's either cancelled or we start working our way into next season? And there's no proper transfer market. The players don't have... Like, do you take this as the players are actually having time off, like their holiday period? But you really can't, because everyone's doing the stay-at-home challenge, which is volleying the toilet paper and, juggling it and all. Shout out to Melo, who's actually doing, in my opinion, the best one, tackling the toilet paper while it's on the ground. Our former Gastro player, shout out to him. But yeah, that's just what it is currently at the moment. The Champions League and Europa League is supposedly part of UEFA's plan to be completed also. There's unconfirmed reports that the Champions League and Europa League will be finished by, I think, end of June or end of July. But nothing's come out from UEFA. Again, I think this all just falls onto the part where if there's no improvements, this is just going to keep getting pushed back.
You can't keep pushing it back.
But everyone's just playing it by ear at the moment. Like you said, we don't know how bad this is going to get, how long it's going to last, and governing bodies are just making decisions depending on what's happening at the moment. So for the moment, EPL's been postponed, Euro's been moved back to 2021. The Bundesliga first and second divisions have been put on hold until further notice.
All football across Germany is done.
Yep. You've also got the Greek league stopping, the French league, League 1 and League 2 has put a stop to football.
I think the last league currently was a Turkish league, and that just recently got put on hold.
Well, they had a round of playing without spectators, and obviously the amount of money lost by teams and of course by the Football Association of Turkey. And I think the biggest impact on Turkey was international players who are not Turkish citizens were starting to freak out, saying, how come the rest of the world has stopped playing? And we're still playing. So a decision was made only yesterday, actually, to suspend the season.
Look, they were just following the trends of everyone else. I mean, at the moment in our home country, the A-League, they are currently still going at the moment.
As it should, because there's only, 6 games left?
I'm not too sure on how many games are left. I think there
How
is.
many games? I think there's 6 games.
They're reaching the
if I'm
end of
not
their
wrong.
season, so yeah, I would roughly say that it is 6 or 7 games left. They're still going ahead at the moment. I can understand from Australia's perspective for them to continue. I mean, the control from an Australian perspective is a lot easier, especially considering where Europe is, where there's how many different countries all connected to each other, and you can pretty much drive wherever the hell you want.
Population too.
And population too. So Australia at the moment is going ahead. Maybe Australia capitalizes on this and tries to broaden their market as pretty much the highest ranked football currently operating in the world at the moment. As much as that's sad as that is to say, but yeah, look, at the moment that's just what it is. Everyone's just trying to deal with it on a case by case scenario.
Yeah, just to back up Omar here, he said that there was 6 games left. There actually is, so they're up to match day 24. The season ends in match day 29, so 6 games to go. 2 of these have been postponed. I'm not sure if this is due to coronavirus stuff, but the Newcastle Jets and Wellington Phoenix game and the Melbourne Victory and Brisbane Roar games have been postponed. Do you know why, Omar?
The only thing I can think of with Wellington is because
The New Zealand
thing
the
that's
New
going
Zealand
on.
thing that's going on.
Look, that even affected the NRL, which is the
I
National Rugby League for our overseas viewers. Look, it did affect it, so you would assume that they just either not coming into the country or their ability to use their players
Well,
that they have.
either, like with the NRL, I think they gave the ultimatum. They play all their games here until this bullshit blows over. So,
Look, you sort of can't blame them because at the moment they're trying to work through what's possible for them. I mean, you got players, like imagine just yourselves being put in isolation away from your family and friends, not being able to play the game you love, and you don't know how long you're going to be away from your families, or even if their players are back in New Zealand, how long you're actually going to be away from the game itself. So again, I'm just going to keep linking. It's a case by case scenario.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, I want to get Umar's views of this. Umar, what do you think? Is this blown out of proportion, or are these measures appropriate and necessary to keep athletes around the world safe?
I reckon it's taken way out of. It's gone way overboard, to be honest.
Do you think they just keep playing?
Yeah.
Why?
What? Well, with them not playing, it's not gonna stop anything. Let's just say this thing is airborne. You're gonna cop it either way.
But I think that's what.
Just they can sit at home and do this like cute little challenge, play toilet paper challenges and whatever. But dude, if I was a player, I'd want to play.
Yeah, but you also got to look at the safety of everyone. I think that's number one.
Dude, it's just a flu.
It is just look. It's a strain of flu. Okay, it's come to the point where even players are getting affected, as we've seen. Ibrahimovic got it. You had the Juventus player that copped it originally.
EPL players, yeah,
exactly. So it is something that they're getting affected with. Whether it hurts these people as much as it does with the elderly itself is a completely different story. It does seem that this strain of flu is going to more effective. Is more effective on the elderly. We're looking 60, 70, 80 years old. But if we play behind closed doors, to what extent?
It's not gonna change anything.
Well, it's trying to minimize the effect.
Well, even when you have a normal common day cold, you're told to stay away from work. You're sort of supposed to self isolate even with your normal flu symptoms.
Exactly.
So I think doing it with a disease that it seems to be this contagious, it's moved around the world this fast. I think that they're taking appropriate measures in keeping everybody safe. Personally, that's my opinion.
Look, at the end of that, if regardless of what it is, if something's killing people, you would assume that health risks are currently at play and people need to make decisions about it.
That's right. And look, football players are supposed to be the fittest people in the world,
Correct.
right? So it's
One
not
of the
going
fittest.
one of the fittest, or your athletes, whatever sport it is, because a lot of sports are cancelled all around the world. But it's not the players you need to look out for. It's all these players have mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers, and for us, it seems like it's a joke, but it's not a joke when someone in your family has been, affected by it.
I get all that, but what are you gonna do? Sit at home and then do nothing and come out of your cave until this eventually blows over.
But that's what's happening now. Everyone's trying to find a solution for it, and at the moment, isolation is the number one solution. So you either not
I
isolate.
don't think it is.
So what's your solution then?
Even if you're in isolation, if you've got it, then yeah, all right, you isolate yourself.
Yeah,
But if you don't,
Yeah, but that's the thing. So I'll give you an example for imagine. What am I saying? Imagine Milner and Henderson got it in the Liverpool team.
yeah.
So do you bench the whole Liverpool team and everyone else plays?
Do you what?
Do you say Liverpool can't play their games anymore and everyone else plays?
No, you just get rid of them too.
Yeah, but they've been training with these guys. They've been
You test
sharing
everyone else.
water bottles. And
they've been exactly. So and then you realize, okay, Salah and then Alisson get it.
Yeah,
Then
the other
what
thing is
happens?
as well, these symptoms don't show. Sometimes they show like a week or 2 weeks later from reports that I'm reading. So we don't even know who has them at the time. You're going to be doing temperature screening every half an hour on these players. Are you going to risk having, like you said, Fats, having a whole team wiped out for 2 weeks, not being able to train, putting a full momentum swap at in the middle of your season? We talk about midweek games when we play Champions League. Imagine a whole team taken out by a flu, right? All right, they may not die, but it's obviously going to affect form. It's obviously going to affect fitness. It's obviously going to affect the way you play on the pitch.
100%.
So I'd rather my team's players sit it out. Well, let's wait for this thing to wash over, than see a poor performing Liverpool side.
But I hope it does.
Well, there's reports that came out that said that today, the first person to die regarding this disease in Iceland was an Australian man that was age 36.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this something that was related to something else? Look, again, they're going to have to look into and all that type of stuff. At the moment, they're attaching it to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is 100% the case that a 36-year-old died, then there's your answer there.
Man,
Yeah, but how do you-
there's been
yeah,
a 16-year-old who passed away from
But
it.
I think it was from something that contributed to it.
Okay.
Like there was I think it was a 21-year-old coach, the Juventus coach or something like that. It was like an under something age coach.
Yep.
He died at 21.
Yep.
But there was he had leukemia, or there was some sort of
Some
cancer that he
underlying
had.
factors.
You can't even point the finger at Corona because of that.
That's what they're saying. They're pinning it more towards the cancer rather than the coronavirus itself. They're saying that because of his lower immune system and all that type of stuff,
It's
that's
not
the
even
reason.
with that 36-year-old, he probably had a poor immune system.
Oh, look,
as well.
at the end,
because normal flus kill people.
That's true, they do.
that's true, they do.
And that's why we try
So-
and contain them as well.
But the problem with the normal flu is it's got a less mortality rate than the corona does.
Oh, I think that's not true. I
don't
think the
so,
flu...
bro.
No, the influenza, like the normal flu itself, is in the 1% range.
Okay,
The coronavirus at the moment is in the 3.7, 3.8 range.
okay.
It's again from our perspective, it's easier to say okay, it's only 3.8%, but considering how many cases are coming up, considering Italy just overpassed China
Yeah.
as the most deaths due to this virus,
Mm-hmm.
it does seem a bit of a worry.
There's two different measures there. I mean, when it happened in China, there was talks about them building this hospital that was for coronavirus people. China took this threat really, really seriously. And in fact, if you look at Japan, my experience with Japanese people as a culture, they're really into their cleanliness and
they're
their
very
hygiene,
clean,
right?
yeah.
So if you look at the growth of coronavirus in Japan, Australia has just overtaken it, and Japan was like the second country to get it. So when correct measures are taken, it's obviously working for countries like Japan and China, who are vastly, vastly populated, way more populated than, say, Italy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that the measures being taken is good. Yeah, it's a little bit of disruption, but you know what? Like, we're crying over third world things here. The thing is as well, in Australia, we have access to so much medical and stuff right here. We have hospitals and stuff like that. We're a first world country who can deal with this. This stuff gets into
don't.
third world countries.
They don't know how to deal with it.
You start talking
But
about
no
like
one knows
South
how to
Africa.
deal with it at the moment.
Yeah, but these countries,
What do you
like
mean?
for example, in South Africa, they've just the over 50s cricket tournament that my old boss was playing in. They've put it on hold because it's a third world country that doesn't have the medical means to look after these people.
Well, name me a country that has dealt with it properly. Not one.
Well, I read that the Turkish president or prime minister, whatever you want to call it,
President.
he's what do you do? He's given free, like, people over a certain age, like the older people. He's given them all free, like, masks and all these.
But that's been happening across the world, whether it's America, UK, even Italy tried to do
But
that.
has anyone has Australia done that here?
Well,
Australia's handing out
There's talking
every
about
single
money.
workplace has
yeah.
it.
Well, not only that, they're handing back money to certain people in different socioeconomic brackets.
Look, from
if
a
you
money
call it.
perspective, I'm not too sure considering half the country is running out of supplies. But
Mhm.
look, from a actual care perspective, from an actual perspective of what the countries have done, even Turkey, for an example, they only started with a few cases, but their cases are jumping
It's
massively
growing,
at
yeah,
the moment
it's growing.
because people, and again, it falls down to what you said, Em, people don't know the symptoms because you can have it and not have any of the symptoms. That's the problem because you don't feel it or you don't see it for days and days and days. And how you carry on in your life. Say, imagine you're just an example just before it all started. Imagine you're like a yoga instructor or you're in the gym, you know what I mean, like a fitness instructor. And you're touching people all over the place, you know, assisting them and helping them. And you've got it. You won't even know. And that's where the biggest problem is. It's because you don't know and you carry on with your normal life, especially if you're using public transport, it's game over from
Look
there.
at the way it came into New South Wales. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first cases was from a doctor. Now, a doctor is someone who understands the symptoms, who's obviously done research on this, but he didn't realize until became too late and he infected his patients.
Yeah.
So,
Look,
I think the symptoms don't always show straight away, and in that time that you don't know you haven't felt the symptoms, you're able to pass this on. No one really knows.
Exactly, and everyone's just tackling this as they go. So to connect this back to, say, a more footballing perspective here, what do you guys have a plan or anything? Like, what would your, like, it's on hold. We accept that it's on hold. It is what it is. What do you think should be the next step? Say it starts in April 30, for example. Do they get rid of the Premier League games, or does the UEFA just go, okay, you know what, everyone, finish the domestic games, and then we're going to hammer out the Champions League and Europa Leagues out until it's completed? Do you think that's a better, or do we just go back to normal program, which is
Normal program.
Saturday Premier League and Normal program.
I think so, because you need to make a start on this upcoming season. You can't take 6 months to conclude and have only weekend games for Champions League and thing, and you're wasting time. I think the distraction needs to be minimized and go back to normal routine as soon as possible. So it would be ideally to play out your Wednesday and your Thursday games on Champions League and your weekend games.
So, yeah, look, I personally agree with you guys. I think just going back to normal program, how these teams recover from this is going to be a massive... Like, you also got to keep in mind that these players have not been training for... How long is it now? Almost, even if he starts in April 30, for example, you're looking around nearly 1.5, 2 months of non-training. Everyone's training with the toilet papers and all.
I was going to say, look, you change the ball to a toilet paper roll and we're going to have some great games happening.
You still got players doing their own things at home, like doing their runnings and their stamina stuff and whatever.
The best example was Pogba, who was supporting one of his... Pogba?
Who's that?
As a Liverpool supporter, you ought to know who a £90 million midfielder is.
Who's played 3 games this season?
Not even. I think it was 2.5. Look, I'll give him credit when he came on for Man U. He changed the game for them, to be honest. But look, going back to him, he's keeping in form. He's in supporting his Juve teammate who's working out with a Juve jersey, which some Man U supporters did not exactly like. Just on a side topic there's a bit of rumours going on that
he needs to go.
His manager is trying to force the move through to Real Madrid.
That was obvious for a long time now.
Oh, look, Paul Pogba has made it clear that he is trying to leave. But
he is a problem. As much as I hate that club, he is a problem.
Well,
he is a reason that why they got rid of Mourinho.
We don't know.
And why would you get rid of? First of all, why would you even get rid of Mourinho? He's won you the only league that you've never won. You finished second.
The only trophy.
Well, it's only trophy you haven't won. He's taken you second. He leaves. What happens?
Look, they made the decision. That's up to them. That's past now, man. Look, I can't really comment on that, but it is what it is.
This is where it comes to my original point where Pogba was a problem. When they had that little tiff back then with that video that he posted. Obviously, there would have been other stuff involved, but he's a cancer in that club. He may be a good player.
The big call to call him the cancer of the club, but look, at the end of the day, if he's performing on the field, that's it. That's in my opinion. That's what I mean. It seems like his attitude has changed a lot more than when he was at Mourinho, than he was at Solskjaer. When he's playing under Solskjaer. But like Emin said as well, he's only played a handful of games at the moment, so Look, we're gonna have to wait until April 30 kicks in, man. Because
If it does kick in, the other question is as well,
Fucking
like,
better.
what if it doesn't kick back in? There's some rumors floating around about a void season. There's rumors talking about Liverpool being stripped of their title after 30 years of not getting one.
can't be stripped if you haven't won it.
Yeah. But what do you think, Ohms? Do you think it's fair for Liverpool to be stripped of their title this season?
It's 25 points. It's not fair.
25, 22.
Whatever, 22, 25, fucking same shit. But
No, it's 3 numbers different, man.
shut the fuck up. If it was like I said earlier, if it was one or 2 points, I wouldn't care. Cancel the fucking season, start again. But it's 22, 25 points. And if they cancel, you can't call this season void. It's about 75% of the season's already been played. You gotta, even if it was another team, I'll still be saying the same thing.
I think
If you're 20 points plus clear on top of the table during this circumstance, and if you want to call it, you can't call the season void. If it was like I said, 1 or 2 points, yeah, or maybe. But like even then, it would be a bit harsh. But if you had to be done, okay, 1 or 2 points. I don't think have a bit of that much of a dumb dispute over it. But with the 20 points plus gap, you can't avoid that. You can't avoid that, man.
look, I'm on the same page with Omar for once. It's too far into the season, and look, if you want proof about how far ahead Liverpool is, you just need to look at Pep Guardiola's answer a few weeks ago. But at the same time, awarding Liverpool a championship, say this goes on till June, July, August, where we can't play games until October, where worst case scenario, coronavirus gets that bad, and this season does become void, or a decision is made that Liverpool is crowned champions. So what happens with the relegation?
Yeah, that's exactly right. What does happen with the relegation?
So there's talks about there's no relegation. There's 2 championship teams come up with the promotion. Then you have a bigger Premier League next season.
You have a 22-team Premier League.
Because
Well, technically it has to be 23.
Isn't the Premiership because they got a fair bit.
Why?
Of teams
Because
in there.
that 4th team could have made it through as well.
No, because it's the you got the playoffs.
Don't know about the playoffs.
Yeah.
man.
But you have to, because that's
Personally,
the rule.
yeah, I know, but we're gonna have a bye then.
You're not gonna have a bye if you're gonna fulfill the season. You're gonna have to go top 2 guys, which is I think off the top of my head was
Leeds and
West Brom.
Is it West Brom?
and
Whoever
I think they're first and second.
first
Leeds
and second,
and
so
West
they
Brom,
would get
yeah.
automatic, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 do the playoffs. So if
Yeah,
you
but
talk,
if the season's void, how are you gonna play if they're not gonna let them play?
but that's what I mean. If the same scenario is happening in the Premier League, which is first to 4th is set,
Or then you just
and
give
last
1, 2,
3 is set.
or you just give 1, 2, and 3. That's it.
You can't do 1, 2, and 3 because that's
But
not
if you- yeah, I know,
it's
but
not
if
the
you
actual ruling.
Yeah,
Because
I know
this
that's not
falls
the actual
yeah,
ruling.
but this falls down to the same thing about the Premier League. What you just said
What?
about Liverpool, that they should win the title because technically they have points clear. Okay, then 4th, 5th, and 6th can say, okay, but we have matches on hand and we can catch this.
We
thing.
could have gone into the
That's
first
right.
2
We
or
could have gone
whatever,
into
yeah.
first 2 of 3.
Okay, I didn't look. See, we're just gonna keep arguing back with this and that, this and what if this, what if that. You're gonna have to fucking play the season.
That's
Yeah,
what.
you can't just keep saying, "Oh, we're gonna drag it out, we're gonna drag it out." Because
Yeah, but say it starts in November. You've just eaten up halfway into another
you
season to
can't let it
complete
drag
this
on.
season.
I don't give a shit how fucking bad this thing's gone or whatever. But you either start it from 30th of April, normal schedule as usual, Saturday, Sunday, whatever you want to do, Champions League, etc. Finish it off. Liverpool comes first, bottom 3 drop, right? Or you either get you avoid the seasons. Liverpool becomes champions. You leave. See that you can't. It's I don't know. It's
And what? There's no promotions. Look, as much as I hate Leeds, I don't think that's really fair on them.
well, that's what I'm. Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. Like
So then,
you get 1, 2,
See,
and
it's
3.
not that easy,
I know
is
it's
it?
not that easy. Just let the season fucking roll over. Just let it go.
Okay.
You can't just void the season. If, like I said, if it was only 1 or 2 points or whatever, maybe, and that's a big maybe.
look, I'm looking at this from a very subjective view as not a Liverpool supporter, right? As much as it would suck for Liverpool to be taking the title, isn't it the least amount of distraction just to avoid both seasons and Leeds and Liverpool miss out? Then trying to work out what's happening bottom table, top table. It's going to be unfair on someone regardless. Whether it's a team that was supposed to be promoted, a team that was supposed to be relegated, a team that could have gone into a Champions League spot at one point or another. And I hate saying this. Look, I think Liverpool deserve the championship. That's all we've talked about all season. But it's just a really mixed up scenario. It's just confusing as.
Look, I'll give the non-Liverpool view, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, do Liverpool deserve the title? 100%. 150%. I couldn't disagree. I've stated it earlier than our own Liverpool supporter here, Omar, that Liverpool won the title, and he wasn't having any of it at the time.
But now you're not having any of it now when I'm saying that we deserve it. But you're saying
on record, I just said to you on record, if you open your ears, Liverpool deserve the title. I've never said that you shouldn't win the title. I never said that. I said you should all. Liverpool deserve the title, and I was congratulating you guys when you were 15 points clear, 18 points clear.
I think halfway through the season.
Halfway through, when you guys were like 20 games in, and I was already going, man, you got this. I'm not even like worried. That was a Chelsea supporter saying that. But now times have changed, unfortunately. Do you guys still deserve the title? 100%. I stand by that. But there's too many ifs and buts and factors to go, okay, Liverpool deserve the title because there's that much of a domino effect of what should be happening in the league. Do you just go, okay, Liverpool deserve the title? That's where your biggest problem is.
That's what I mean.
And we've covered this now. Because if Liverpool win it, that means Leeds needs to win it. That means the league below needs to do the same thing. That means that what happens with the relegation? Do teams get relegated? Do teams get promoted? Because technically it'll be, like, if we're not having a relegation, it'll be a 23 team. Because like we were discussing, you got the playoff
spot,
where those teams one of them are eligible. So then what do? Then you're going to have a bye every week.
You have a championship that has no relegation as well. You can't relegate those guys, and 3 other teams or 4 other teams are coming out from
a 22 team
all the way through
will be
down.
a 25 team. It'll just be a domino effect.
Yeah. And then you have 3 teams playing in the lowest division.
Exactly. You just all the North leagues and all that type of stuff, the numbers will just be off. But I agree with you to a perspective, Omar. I really do. Which is the league needs to finish. It has to finish.
Because there's not. If it was early on, there's only 9 games left.
9 games. It does. Okay, I'm agreeing with you. The league needs to finish. I agree with you. But
and you're in the quarterfinals of Champions League. Fuck, there's not many games left.
We're in there. We're in there to play to get out. Like, we're not gonna. Like, if I'm talking from a Chelsea perspective, I would love the Champions League to be voided because we're about to get smashed to Bayern Munich. So,
we're out anyway. So let's do it.
Don't worry about Man City for getting that league.
You guys might pull a fucking miracle out of the hat. You never know.
I don't think so. Unless the first 11 for Bayern Munich are out for coronavirus, I don't think that Chelsea's progressing. I'd like them to, but
they're not playing that crash shot.
Really. When they beat you 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, I think they'll be fine in Germany. But look, going back to the topic, it falls down to what's really going to happen. But I'm still more attached to the health factor. Okay, I get it. And I still agree with you as well from the sense that it is a flu. I get it. But you'd rather want to be on the healthy side than the not healthy side. By putting more people onto the pitch who have the capability of sweating, touching each other. Not only that, you got to keep this in mind. It doesn't stop at 22 players.
So how does that stop rugby league?
What do you mean, how does it stop rugby league?
They're still playing.
That's what I'm trying to say at the moment. Australia is doing that. And we're the only country in the world that are doing it.
For such a nanny state, I'm surprised they've let the sport still go.
Correct. But you're one player away. You're literally one player from getting the virus away from Australia calling that league off.
Yeah.
Okay? Because at the moment, Australia has been lucky from a rugby league, from a A-League, from a... what's the other one that I don't care about? AFL, that's it. They're literally, all codes are one player away from all those leagues being
you got to keep this in mind as well. The fans are getting behind these associations and saying, look, the whole world stopped. Why is it still going? You know what I mean?
So that's correct.
Who cares about the other associations?
The players are getting behind this and saying, look, I don't want to walk onto a field that could potentially get me sick. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pressure on these organizations to make these decisions. It's not just about, oh, we know it's just a flu, we're not going to do anything about it. Like, even politicians have pressure on them. There's talks about why Scott Morrison hasn't put us into isolation yet. You know, like,
look, right, they're making it as if it's a fucking zombie apocalypse, man.
Well, if you
it better be the way it's been dragged out.
Look, to be honest, look, okay, let's agreeing from a football perspective as well. If someone was to wake up from a coma, they'd think that that there's people literally falling on the streets and were literally in like 28 days later. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone was to wake up and see what's happening on the minute, you'd think so. You'd literally think that. Right. I think it has been blown over proportion considering what's been happening, especially people overbuying, especially people just the way they're reacting and stuff like that. But you also got to keep in mind who this is actually affecting, and this is what I was trying to connect it back to when we were talking about the league, when we were talking about football. It doesn't stop with 11 players on the field. Okay, you want to broadcast those games. They need to bring in staff. You need to talk about the people that are actually working on the sidelines, working in the locker rooms, working in the training rooms, and all that type. You can't just minimize your cleaners and your grounds. You can't really tell. Okay, if you're 50 and under or 40 and under, you can't come to work or anything like that. Because it's affecting the 50, 67. Well. Yeah, it's affecting these people at the end of the day. So I would love football to be back. Don't get me wrong.
Everyone does. It
gives us more to talk about. You wake up in the morning staring out the window like your life's over sort of thing. But
might as well be.
At the moment, that's just what it is. You know, you hold your tea and just stare out the window. But from a health perspective, I think that they're doing the right thing, in my opinion. But I agree from a sense of what we were talking about, as in April 30 comes, or whenever the season's supposed to start, and it's worse, then what do you do? That's where the biggest problem. They've come up with a temporary solution for a problem that they don't know if it's going to be temporary or how long this is going to last. Say, like another hypothetical scenario, like you just said, November. Imagine this lasts till December, and we're especially in Australia, we're approaching a bad time because we're entering winter, and as we know, sicknesses tend to rise up in winter. Exactly, sicknesses get hard on. Exactly right. So, and that's going to affect the National Rugby League and football stuff like that. So, I don't know. I reckon they just got to write it out and say, okay, April 30's here. What do we do?
You just have to attack the situation as it comes.
Come May or June, if this does get cleared and we start to play some football, then we do like a Easter park football rule where you just play 2 games every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, just to catch up.
Seriously.
Well, it was Gary Neville that said it. He said that to streamline the process, if the players will be committed to do what's necessary. So if you're playing a game every 2-3 days to get this shit over and done,
you got no choice.
You got no choice. But the players will do it because of the love for the game. You can see the way the players have reacted here. Everyone's just so keen to get back onto the field that if it goes, okay, you got 9 games, okay,
but we're gonna play it in 3 weeks.
We're gonna play it in, I'll say 21, 27 days. Yeah. It's 3 games a day. It's possible. 3 games every 1 game every 3 days. Sorry, yep. It is what it is.
They can't whinge.
I don't think the players will whinge. I think you know what, we got to get this over and done with. Simple as that.
And then you know who will whinge? Liverpool supporters if they bottle it because their players are all injured and tired.
You lose 8 games.
No, this is bullshit. We should have gone on to normal playing. Yeah, there's always going to be someone whinging.
Look, I'm happy if it's normal, like a normal schedule, or even if they have to play 2 games a week. I don't give a shit, as long as the season starts again.
Well, they currently play 2 games a week.
Who?
Normal. You play on the weekend. It's 2 games a week.
Midweek.
Midweek
and a weekend.
But midweek you want to add Champions League.
Well, you can cater to the teams that are in
That's what I was trying to refer to when I was originally stating that. So Premier League goes, okay, you know what? We're going to hammer these 9 games out, okay, over 3 weeks.
Well, all the leagues are the same because what they have, I'm assuming they have the similar amount of games left.
I think roughly should be the same, yeah.
Roughly.
So, but what it should be, I reckon.
And then play the Euros and
Champions League,
Europe and Champions League right after.
I reckon just hammer the Premier League out or hammer out the domestic leagues.
And then do all the Champions League at the end.
You still got the FA Cups, so don't forget.
But then the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know, but you still got that as well. Other teams, unlike us, have to worry about it.
You could also do like You have your midweek and your weekend games, right? But those teams that are playing Champions League, they just have delayed games. They play it the week after when they don't have Champions League or something like that. You know what I mean? And
I reckon just get rid of the Premier League.
all together.
Yeah. Because think about it, then you're going to delay that, then they got to catch up on.
Because you still got the FA
It's
Cup
going to
as
be
well,
a
you have to-
clusterfuck of a schedule.
Yeah.
You still got two.
But then you've also got like leagues if they finish 1 or 2 weeks apart. You've got a league that's finished a week before, players sitting and training for 2 weeks.
So what?
Well, come that date where they're going to go, okay, you know what, we're progressing from this date and everything is on the decline and, you know, if everything's working out as it should be, what I reckon can be is UEFA goes, okay, you know what, we're starting the Champions League on this day.
Yep.
We've analysed it with the top 6, top 7 leagues in Europe. They're going to go, okay, Champions League starts in June.
Yep.
Your job is to finish your domestic leagues by June.
Whether it is you're playing 3 games or 2 games
That's
a
right.
week or whatever.
And then what I reckon the Champions League then does is 2 games a week. So you got say you play on Saturday,
Well, home
your
and
first
away.
game. Yeah, home and no, like as in so say Chelsea Bayern Munich for example.
Yeah.
Just using an example. They play on Saturday. The next game's the next Saturday. None of that 2-week gap. You just every week until the Champions League is finished.
It's fair.
And everyone's done and dusted. And then it gives, in my opinion, a bit of time for the teams to go, you know what, we're going to start to go on. We'll give the players, you know, a proper 1 to 2 week break because you got no Euros, you got no national friendlies, you got nothing. Just give a 2 week break, start the transfer market, work your way back in.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is the best way, to be honest.
I'm waiting for my job offer UEFA. I think I've got this under control and we can bring in a bunch of staff here that will get everything in control. Omer wants to kill our players. But we'll just go from there.
Hey, you got
So-
to man
so-
the fuck up.
Do you see some teams benefiting from this long break? For example, Man City's had a defensive problem all season where they can't keep up with the injuries. Do they come back stronger after all their players have rested up at the end of the season? Do you see any teams more advantaged than others are?
To a certain extent, because obviously if a player is injured, it's going to give more time for players to recover. I mean, the projection was Rashford to be coming back by Euros. You had Kane coming back by Euros, so it does
Got
give
Son as well.
Son as well, exactly.
Varane.
So it's giving those teams the ability to come back. But you also got to keep in mind these players during normal periods will be going for rehab. Whether they're getting the full extent rehab that they would have got in this situation
That's true.
it's something that they need to analyze and have a look at if the season ever starts up again.
Yeah.
So, but I agree from a sense of from a health point of view, from a physical point of view, it would work a lot better for a lot of teams, especially like in my opinion, we've got Loftus-Cheek who was entering back into the team and coming back into training. You would expect him to be closer to first team football than what he was before the break.
We get Alisson back. Yay!
Yeah, exactly. You guys can also get Alisson back. What was
You want Adrian?
I don't mind it. I like Adrian. Yeah, he was the only problem in the last game. We played fucking shit.
We
But
played good. We couldn't
You
score.
didn't play shit.
We played good.
You just couldn't finish your goals.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Look,
And-
to be honest, and just shout out to one of the Liverpool supporters, which on WhatsApp, Ali, he said he didn't know how Liverpool wasn't up 5-0 by halftime.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you guys should have been. You guys should have absolutely demolished that goal. But it is what it is. It's just one of those
So
games.
everyone wants. I've seen some stupid freaking comments from Liverpool supporters about Adrian. One game. What happened before that? He saved their asses how many times?
Oh,
He
look.
saved just because of one. Okay, it wasn't his best performance. He's played one shit game.
You're gonna have those supporters, man. Don't forget Tammy
Yeah, I know.
Abraham got racially abused and went on to score
But
14 goals in 16
are
games.
racist. You guys are fucking racially abused. Everyone on trains.
Yeah, we do have that issue.
And you guys have a lot of like black
Yeah.
players.
I think look, it's a selected people, man. That's
It is,
it's
it is.
just
It's
a bunch of
dickheads,
special
bunch of
people, but
fuckers.
It was just
It is what it
unfortunate.
is.
Like when we covered that game, I talked about how ironic it was that Alisson stepped out at the start of the season and Adrian didn't.
He didn't disappoint.
He didn't disappoint. No, Alisson wasn't missed in those games because he really pulled his game together. It was just unfortunate that same hero at the start of the season became the one who lost the game for Liverpool. Unfortunately.
it's all in the past now. Unfortunately, we've still got this coronavirus to deal with. But yeah, I guess we've got to just keep updating people till April 30,
Yeah.
and just see how we go from there.
I just want to start talking about football again and not have to give coronavirus updates. Look,
Fucking
I understand how annoying it is because I've got certain people in my social media feeds who think that they're expert doctors. We are not trying to be expert doctors here. We're just trying to talk about how this has affected our game. Obviously, it's boring. There's nothing to talk about for us on air here. There's nothing for us to watch. It's a depressing world without football.
Oh, look, 100%. I totally agree with you from that perspective. Look, at the end of the day, I would heavily advise people to abide by the rules that's currently set.
Yeah, wash your hands.
Isolation, wash your hands. If you need to wear a hula hoop and walk around, do it. Keeps people away from you. If you need to create a 50-meter barrier, walk in a bubble, just do it. Whatever's necessary.
Law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen. That's literally it. But yeah, look, I think we're talking about this virus just in general. You can see that it's not only interrupted football; it's interrupted the whole world's aspect.
Economy.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Economy, yeah.
It is what it is.
People can't travel. I had a friend on Instagram whose auntie passed away, and they are not able to attend the funeral because they're not allowed to fly out. So, yeah, it's affected all aspects of our lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
My dad was meant to go overseas. Well, sucked in, sir. You can't go to Turkey now.
oh, look, it's affecting a lot of people, man. Even our government banning the planes being grounded, especially Virgin, especially Qantas. Not many planes coming in. I think that we're shutting the borders off tonight.
9 p.m. though. I think
So
they're saying.
it's now actually.
It's
So it is just what it is. Unfortunately, we don't have too many updates for you guys. So
And for everyone who's going through the struggles and the symptoms of coronavirus, we wish you all the best. Wish you a fast recovery,
yep.
speedy recovery, so that we can start watching football again because we're bored.
except Omar, who wants you to go back onto the football pitch and
Just man
not
up,
give a
bro.
shit.
Just man
And
up.
get everyone sick. Stay away from my grandma, man.
Stay away from anyone that you can infect, pretty much. So, look, that's it from us.
Yeah, it's a wrap from Offside Talk. As always, our social media links will be in the description below. It has been popping up in the corner over here. There it is.
There you go.
Offside Talk official for Facebook. And we've got Offside Talk _ on Instagram. And of course, Offside Talk on YouTube. Follow us, like us, please. It helps out a lot. Tell your friends about us.
Subscribe.
And yeah,
That's about it.
that's about it. Yeah, until next time, I guess, stay offside.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. It was a good talk.